Welcome to this first installment of, I guess, our new devotional series. And what we're going to be looking at now is a little less well defined than our last series, which, if you're just joining, if this is your first devotion or your first devotion in a long while, we took several weeks to walk through the Sermon on the Mount, and we walked through kind of section by section, and we'll call that a devotional series. And that's pretty well defined because it has a start point, it has an end point. This is the Sermon on the Mount. Go. But what we're going to start today is we're actually going to start looking at some virtues and where they come from in the Bible and what they look like in our lives and some stuff like that. And the first one is a virtue that I don't actually think is very frequently included in lists of virtues, and that's contentment. So our text for today comes from Philippians 4, starting at verse 10, and he says, "I rejoiced in the Lord greatly that now at length you have revived your concern for me. You were indeed concerned for me, but you had no opportunity. Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through Him who strengthens me." And I think what is being done here is so powerful. Because so many times when we talk about contentment, our discussion focuses on the stuff. And the discussion is something along the lines of be happy with what you have. Conventional wisdom might say something along the lines of you could always have less, it could always be worse. And I think one of the problems with this sort of view toward contentment, which is something we're called to, and you're going to get that a little bit stronger in a second, is if your attitude is contentment is being happy only with little, then you have problems when God blesses you, right? Because God does frequently bless His people, and He blesses them beyond all possible expectations. And if you have set up contentment as a virtue that relies on being happy when you don't have enough, or when you don't have a lot, when you are blessed, how do you deal with that, right? You almost feel guilty for God blessing you, and that's not where we want to end up. So what I think is so powerful about this text from Philippians is that he says, I know how to be in need, and I know how to abound. So he's getting at both of these extremes, and he concludes by saying, I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. And why I think that is so impactful is because it shifts the focus from the stuff to Christ. So why are you content when you don't have enough, when you're barely making ends meet? Well, because Christ is really what I'm resting on. Christ is what I'm content with. And when you're abounding, when God has blessed you and your business is going well, or you got that promotion, or you made that job move that ended up being much better for you, and you're being blessed in all these ways, how do you be content there? Well, your contentment rests on the same thing. It rests on Christ. So I think we need to divorce this idea of contentment from the stuff. We are content because Christ is enough for us in need or in abundance. So that's our devotion for today. brothers and sisters, go in peace and contentment and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.